All right. Welcome, DoorGrow hackers, to the DoorGrow Show. If you are a property management entrepreneur that wants to add doors, make a difference, increase revenue, help others, impact lives, and you are interested in growing your business and life, and you are open to doing things a bit differently, then you are a DoorGrow hacker. DoorGrow hackers love the opportunities, daily variety, unique challenges, and freedom that property management brings. Many in real estate think you're crazy for doing it. You think they're crazy for not, because you realize that property management is the ultimate high trust gateway to real estate deals, relationships, and residual income. At DoorGrow, we are on a mission to transform property management businesses and their owners. We want to transform the industry, eliminate the BS, build awareness, change perception, expand the market, and help the best property management entrepreneurs win. I'm your host, property management growth expert, Jason Hull, the founder and CEO of DoorGrow. Now let's get into the show. So I am welcoming us all the way from across the pond, well, even further maybe, Michael Sanz of Neesh Property Management. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's great.
So I'm excited to have you. You're a really cool guy. I got to connect with you, in the past in person, which was great to meet you in person. And you've done some really cool things. But before we get into some of that, and today's topic for those listening is automating property showings. And so we're going to be talking about that. But before we get into that, why don't you give people a little bit of background on you and let everyone know why I think you're so awesome.
Perfect. Well, thanks for the introduction, and thanks for having me at the conference in Missouri last year. It was amazing. Perfect. So, as Jason said, I'm Michael Sanz. I am from Australia, from Melbourne, and I have a company called Neesh Property Residential that has been going since 2009. Had over 650 doors, and I started how everybody else started at it in real estate. Started from zero, or how most people started from 0 doors. I had a new relationship started at the time. So I had the pressure and the stress of a new relationship, going into a new business, setting all that up. I started from the study nook in an apartment that I had. I had left a previous business where it was quite a successful business, and I'd left a partnership at the time. And I started Neesh Property. And what was Neesh Property to me? It was a holistic real estate that helped people buy property, sell property, rent property, and arrange the finance. So it was holistic, all under one roof. I have suffered the same problems that everybody else has suffered from starting a business, trying to grow new doors, retain business when people sell their properties or go to other agencies. And I spent a lot of time methodically going through all the pros and cons of a property management business, and I really started to systemize it, automate it, and not let the business control me from an early point, but how I could control my real estate business and what protections I could put in place to make sure that I could do some hyper growth, retain the customers that I had, and simplify life. So a lot of people that know me would have seen that I would operate Neesh Property from many beaches around the world. I would close down the company over Christmas time for 2 months. And in real estate, people say that's unheard of. Like, what about maintenance? What about all the problems? But I identified all these problems, and I've been able to do a lot of travel and spend a lot of family time while automating the business. And Jason, as you're talking about today, automating how to show properties and really break down that process meant that I could be in Missouri and show people property before I went on stage and after I went on stage, and successfully lease property without really having to do anything at all in the end.
Yeah. So this is wild. And I think everybody listening goes, Michael is some sort of crazy, weird robot. This is some magical, impossible thing. Like, nobody else could do this. You're like maybe some sort of savant or like guru. But you started your business and from the beginning had this intention of systemizing things and keeping things off your plate to keep that space. And some people, their intention is and focus is very different, and they build a business that is very difficult to manage and to run. So paint a picture here. You've got 650 doors, you said right now, I think you said, right? And
well, I've just sold a bulk of that, and I'm starting a new trend. I've got niche property, and I've automated even more with a new portfolio. So, but that's for a whole other conversation.
so you've got this, and then help people understand like your business, like logistically, like how many team members do you have, and because I think this is where it really showcases how different your business is than most companies that are at a similar size.
Sure. So at a point with the business, we had about 18 staff members. We had acquired another smaller business, and we acquired their team, and we had an office. So a lot of which goes against the grain, having an office to me. But when I acquired another business, I took the office, and that had a receptionist, it had a business development person, it had an accountant, it had all these people there. And I couldn't see, with total respect for their role, I couldn't see the purpose of it. So I got them down from the 18 down to 1.5 staff members. So one full-time property manager and one part-time who did routines and some showings as required. I also worked out that during...
Wait. So you went from 18 and bring on another company, and then you whittled that down to 1.5 team members.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. I couldn't see the massive need to have, all these people doing accounts when a lot of the property management software already did auto reconciliation. So I was just having a bum on a seat to press a button to reconcile. I couldn't see the purpose of having a receptionist when there were people there who could answer the phone. So we put in a good IVR, a good voicemail system, and we identified that a lot of the calls that were coming in were from tenants either trying to report maintenance or it was. And we put in automated responses there too. And if it was a new business call, it press 1 if you're a landlord, bang, press 2 if it's new business. And then it would come through to myself where I could answer it and respond to it quite fast. So identifying the flow of calls, the type of calls that were coming into the office meant that I no longer had to have a receptionist there. In Australia, the wages are quite high. So we'd be paying someone $50,000 to $60,000 to sit at a front desk to greet people if they came in. But we also identified that as property changed, people were less and less likely to come into an office.
Yeah.
So tenants wouldn't necessarily walk into the office. And if they did walk into the office, we would be there to greet them. But no one was really walking in. Owners rarely walked into an office anymore because they could call you, they could video call you. And we ended up getting rid of the office. We just went from a big 250 square meter office place to a 2-bedroom apartment. And guess what? Didn't affect how we did business. Didn't affect us picking up new business. Didn't affect us losing any business. And the world still spins. It's not chaos. So for us identifying all these headaches, we were able to kind of see what mattered. And if the team couldn't adapt to technology changes, video, virtual reality, automated IVR systems and things like that, then there wasn't really a place in the business for them, respectfully. I actually had one property manager leave to go to a company where they still did paper condition reports because that's how she wanted to do them.
Right. Like, you're welcome to it. That's so funny. So, okay. So this all makes a lot of sense. And I think you and I both have a significant nerdy technological side to us. So this stuff, is like, sounds obvious to me and maybe obvious to you. Some people listening, maybe not so obvious. They have all these questions. How would I do this? How would I do that? It's be scary. But if you make that your intention and your goal, you'll figure it out, just like you figured out whatever you're doing now. So, all right. So now one of your big competitive advantages now in closing deals and in acquiring new business is your ability to lease properties so rapidly. And so paint this picture of how rapidly and how different your leasing process is, just to like prime the pump here.
For us, like to put it into another perspective too, and I know we've touched on it previously, but we were 4 suburbs. So we managed properties in over 84 suburbs. We also had properties in 2 other states, which was Sydney and New South Wales and WA. WA is a 4-hour plane ride, and Sydney is a 1.5-hour plane ride from us. Wow. Now, we weren't insane crazy totally, so we would only manage properties for clients that we actually had on our book, and we did that so that we could retain the relationship with them, and we would appoint other local agents to help with open for inspections or routine inspections or things like that. And because I'm a frequent traveller, when I was in the area, I would pop in, say good day to the tenants, and just touch base that way. So the owners knew that they were getting full catered service. But in Victoria, it was very much managed by our office, and again, we were client focused and not location focused, which was one of our main selling points, and it was quite attractive to landlords that we had. Because we also offered mortgage broking, we didn't really do too many sales. We were mainly property management, and we offered mortgage broking. We saw the value in that. And if it was other agents that could help us do the menial tasks. So it wasn't a headache for us. We didn't stress about it. But we covered a lot of space. So you can imagine when properties come up for rents, and it's cyclical because people properties around the Christmas time, they go home to their family and their friends, and so we would have sometimes like 10 to 15% of the book would start to come up for rent, and you can imagine the franticness of trying to get out to all the inspections and deal with tenants and vacates and all those headaches that came with it. So then that was probably 11 where I started to kind of say this could be a problem with the spread of properties. And I sat down and I started writing down all the problems I could have, petrol, time on road. Who am I going to have? How many staff members I need to do this if I'm going to have substantial growth? How do I automate this? That was the biggest thing. Like, how do I automate this? What if it's Christmas time and I want to go away on holiday? Like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So the selfishness in me also came out because I still wanted to live. And being an owner-operator, what do you do? I identified with myself that if I made mistakes, that was okay. Because there's nothing, being a business owner, if we don't try and implement the things, look, if they don't work, they don't work. But it doesn't mean that it's not going to work in its entirety. It might mean that you just need to pivot a little bit and change what you were doing to give it another go. So I had to automate the whole thing. And I started the journey.
So I'm hearing a process here, and I think you've kind of mentioned this twice now. For those listening, they may have caught on this, but it sounds like you have this mental process that you go through probably constantly, where you list out potential problems, and then you sit down and figure out what are the solutions. And then you have this intention throughout that whole process of how can I have vacations? Like, how can I make sure that I don't have to always be doing it, which is a very different mindset than most people have. They're just figuring out, how do I keep the business running? How do I make sure that we don't drop the ball? And you're like, no, how can I, as you put it, like take Christmas and not have to work? How can I go on holiday and not have to do this? And it would still work. And that's a different problem to solve. And if you give yourself the right problem to solve, like as entrepreneurs, we're great at solving problems. But if we don't give ourselves the right problem to work on, our subconscious isn't going to work on it. Our brain's not going to work on it. We're not going to find those solutions. We stop prematurely at something superficial. And that's a whole level of depth to go beyond just making sure things work. It's making sure things work without you. And so maybe just describe that. Like, what do you actually do? Do you just pull out a piece of paper and you're like, all the problems?
Big point when I had staff in the office that if anyone reported any type of problem, big or small, it had to be written down. Like if an owner said, for example, I can't reach you on your mobile phone, or I don't understand the statement, or just general questions. So if someone doesn't understand the statement, what we did was we recorded what the landlord income statement meant. This is your name, this is the date and everything.
Like a
So,
video.
pardon? Yeah, the video. We did a video. We did a screen grab video, and then that was a link. And if anyone asked anything about the statement, it was there for them, and it was on our FAQs. People could see it. So then all of a sudden, we didn't get all these calls. So we worked out any problem in the business. Someone turned up at our office at 7 in the morning and said, "Why aren't you open?" So we addressed those things. We had better signage on the front door, and then all of a sudden, all these problems that a business would have were just disappearing, and it was automated. So by using video, by using written text, by having window displays, just simple things, the business became automated. So much so that religiously, and before Christmas, and we open up towards the end of January, so that everyone gets time off, or everyone had time off to spend time with their family.
And everyone being your 1.5 team members.
Well, when I had a lot of team members, they were loving it. But yeah, and if people want to go on holiday, they can go on holiday because the business can run.
All right, so this is really cool. So basically what you're talking about is you built a knowledge base of frequently asked questions and leveraged video screen shares, recordings, showing them how to do things so they visually could see, hear, and understand what needed to happen. And so, and as they would go through these and have these questions, and you would send them a link to this in your frequently asked questions or in your knowledge base, or you would send them this video. They would watch this video, and what the magic of video is, they would feel like you're right there walking them through it, telling them, they'd hear you, see you, like they feel like you're taking care of them, and you're not even there. You did it one time, and now it can be used for 650 different people, or however many clients that you have, and they can go through it multiple times instead of just once, because they might not remember, but they'll remember, oh, there's this thing I can go to get it.
Correct. And like a lot of the agents that I would speak to, they say, "Oh, no, video. I don't know how to speak to video, or it takes time. I don't have enough time." A lot of the videos early on that I did showing, or like a routine inspection or open for inspection, and I would just have the camera and the tripod, and while I was waiting for people to come, I would do a video and say, so this is how I'm at this property here. Look at this one, or this is a leaking tap. This is how we address it. This is what we do. Small videos, and I just built up content. I had for tenants, any problems. So what to do if it's raining, what to do if your hot water service breaks, what to do if your dog runs out to your next door neighbor, like just simple things I turned into a video so that I didn't have to answer it again and again. And again, this is touched on before, when people would call up and they addressed a problem or an issue or a concern, we tried to turn that into a video so that it was answered once, solved 100 times.
Yeah. So the trick is that if you're going to have to answer it ever once, take note of it and then put it on your to-do list to make a video so you don't ever have to answer that again.
Yeah. And I think as business owners, we need to give ourselves the emotional permission today to take the time, even if it takes us half an hour to do it, so that we kind of bank up future time. So if that task was going to take us, a 30-minute phone call or whatever it is, but we spent 30 minutes recording it now, and you're going to have that conversation 100 times, you just saved yourself 50 future hours. You could be doing other things.
Yeah, absolutely. I've done the same thing with clients that go through our program. I found that shifting, I used to coach them all directly, but shifting it into video content allowed me to make sure that I said the same thing and got the best information to each client. And it allowed them to watch it more than once. And my memory is not so amazing that I could remember every single thing I've said to every single client about every single topic and not miss something, but I can put it into content. And then if I get a bunch of questions, I can add more content. And so, yeah. And I think, some people would say, man, Jason or Michael, you guys are really lazy. And I think there's brilliance in that, and I wouldn't call it laziness. I would call it, we don't like doing stupid stuff over and over again. I mean, really simply, and that's really frustrating to have to do redundant work. But some people, they love that. They will just do the same thing every day. They love doing that. And that's not me. And I would guess that that's not really you either. You like being able to have freedom and not have to answer the same questions over and over and over again.
It's the definition of insanity, isn't it? Doing the same thing over and over and getting the same result. But
yeah,
I can't understand doing the same thing over and over. And I guess as business owners, we also get caught up in the really small things, and those small things we think become really important, but they're not. I've got VAs that kind of do the really menial, small tasks that I don't even have to think about. The things that our software doesn't do, the VA would do. Get out of that mindset that you have to do these really small things because it's not important. And we identified that owners and tenants just want to get their problem resolved. And if it needs to get escalated, then of course, take it on. But the small things, they don't really care who answers the phone. As long as it's clear, the problem is solved, and they can walk away happy, they're good. Don't stress. Handball it.
So part of this automation, you're leveraging technology, you're leveraging video, you're leveraging a database or knowledge base of frequently asked questions, but also you are leveraging people as process. Like you're bringing in people almost in a position of almost operating like software in some instances.
Correct.
And then you have a core team of people that actually are thinkers and decision makers. That's really small based on what you said. Yeah. So okay, so let's get into then the topic at hand, which is automating property showing. So how can those listening start to move towards automating property showings, and what are the benefits you've seen by doing that? Let's get them excited about the why they should do this first.
So, as a business owner, having staff members and having multiple properties that would come up for open for inspection, and also understanding that tenants are really demanding. They want to see a property, and like they would call you up and say, "Is it open now? Is somebody there now? Can I go now?" And then having a staff member get in the car, drive half an hour, listening to music, speaking to their family and friends, doing whatever they want to do in the car, fine. Get to the property, wait for the tenant to turn up, show them the property, have them say, "Oh yeah, it's nice, bigger," or the walls don't really look like they did in the photos, or like whatever it is, or they love it and they're going to apply for it. Can you wait for my friend to turn up? My partner's on their way. All these headaches. So anyway, so they do the inspection, and then they spend another half an hour driving back or getting lunch on the way, or however long it is. One time, okay, but if you replicate that and you've got 8 or 10 or 15 properties for rent at that time, that's a headache for any company, because there's all these inefficiencies on the road. So I identified, okay, well, what do we do? So my wife was working for a ticketing and event company based in San Diego, and she was running it from Australia as the operations. We're in San Diego one time, had this massive 360 camera, and they were going through all the theaters, and they were, from every seat, they were doing 360. So that people, when they go to buy a ticket, they could see their exact view of how they were going to see the stage. And I thought, hang on, why can't I do this in real estate?
Right.
Like, what's stopping me from doing property management? It's just so simple. I mean, their camera was huge. Like it was massive at the time. And I think about 3 months later, because I couldn't find an actual camera to do it. And what I was doing was going to a room and taking like 100 shots everywhere and then stitching it together. So for one image, it was taking like way too long.
Right.
I was in London and I was walking at Christmas time. I was in London, closed the business down before virtual reality. Go figure. It can be done. I was walking up the high street in London, and I just thought I need to find something simple, cheap, and just to get the job done and save me more time. So I just went on the phone. I went on my phone and I found a local supplier that had the Ryko 360 camera, had just been released, and I went up and picked it up. And then from that point in time, everything I did for real estate, for property, had 360 video. I went the next step too, and I made sure that all of our rental properties had a normal video, just with your smartphone or SLR. So from that moment on, when I bought the 360 camera, I really hit all of our properties hard. And a lot of people that I speak to, before I go with 360 virtual reality and video, a lot of people that I speak to, They go out and buy the camera. They'll do one tour, which generally happens after the tenant has vacated and they've already had marketing for 4 to 6 weeks. They'll do the tour and they'll say, you know what, Michael, I tried that. It's not for me. Didn't help me get a tenant. It was no good.
Sure.
That's the biggest feedback I get. And that's cool. That's fine. But for me, I wanted to persevere. So I made sure that every single property that came up for rent had a 360 virtual tour.
Mm-hmm.
Whilst at the start, it didn't help with every single property because, yes, I had marketed it with our photos for 4 weeks prior and I was able to find tenants, thereabouts, most often than not. With the 360 virtual tours, it was the next time that it came up for rent. So a tenant would give me notice to vacate. The day they gave me notice to vacate, the virtual tour went up on all the real estate platforms that are out there. We had the video, we had our photos, which were okay. They were good, they were okay. But from day one, people could start to see the property without me having to worry about booking an open for inspection and, the condition of the property, it's all boxed up or the whole family's home or whatever the excuse the tenant was. People could start to see the property.
Right.
So that started to change things. So just to reiterate, if you're starting off and you have a property that's coming up for rent and the tenant's moving out, and you do the 360 tour afterwards, you may not get the hyper result that you're expecting. Don't stress. Replicate it on every single property you've got, and you will start to see massive change from the next time it's for rent and every time after that. So don't stress. Give it time. People kind of fail because they give up straight away.
And then each new door that you're getting on, you're going to do the virtual tour at the beginning, so you'll have that moving forward.
Correct. And I got to the point where if a tenant gave notice to vacate, I went in there and I did a 360 tour with all their furniture in there as it was. I didn't put that on publicly, but I was able to show people with the tenant's permission, just give them a link and remove the link so they can't see it afterwards. So I wouldn't go publicly on the real estate platforms, but I would have the tour and I would give it to people. And that changed everything too. Tenants were okay with that because I would blur out, you can edit the 360 images to blur out photos on the wall and things like that. So they were pretty good. I also just did on the iPhone walkthrough videos that I could also comment on, and I would take updated photos too. We had over 85% of our real estate book on virtual platform. So can you imagine, Jason, having 85% of your business that people can view the property without you having to worry about putting a lockbox on, you physically attending the property and having the issue of staff or even yourself going out to show that property multiple times. Now, to touch on that, we were averaging at 1.8 showings per property, and I got it down to 1 showing per property on average.
No kidding.
Huge time saving. So if you were to quantify that and you're renting out 15 properties a month, let's say, that's like $150,000 saving in a year of time and profit on letting, based on our letting fees. Our letting fees are smaller than American letting fees. So it would be significantly higher in America. But for us, it was about $150,000, just a base saving on 15 properties a month.
Oh, yeah. And so the cost savings compared to the cost of getting the digital cameras and maybe the little bit of work and labor that would take to get these virtual tours done and everything, I mean, it was an obvious no-brainer financially.
Obviously, yeah. And for me at the start, I would have spent a couple of $1,000s, maybe more, trying to really solve it. And I've got a lot of cameras now, a lot of VR, a lot of 360 cameras, because I'm still trying to, and I'm still using the same one that I bought years ago, which was the Ryko. But I'm trying to find that next camera that kind of gives me more depth immersion, like the Matterport, but something that fits in my pocket. So for me to do it, if it can't fit in my pocket, I'm not going to take it with me. The Ryko fits in the pocket. I think that's $170 or something like that on Amazon. A tripod is like $30 or $40 on Amazon. And to host 20 platforms, 20 tours a year is like $20. The platform I use is View Eat. Probably the cheapest one out there. It's robust. It's simple. It's no frills. So if you're an agency and you're just starting out and you're looking for cheap ways to do 360 and automate your showings. $170 for the camera, $30 for the tripod, $20 a year to list 20 showings that you can put up and take down. So a lot of people don't have more than 20 properties available at once.
It's called View 8?
Yeah, so View and then double ET.
Double E-T?
Yep, correct. View 8.
Okay. Oh, View Eat. E-E-T. Okay, got it. Okay.
So for around $200, $250 US, you can be up and running today to do these things. But just remember, you may not get that sprinkle dust straight away. It's something where you build up your catalog. It does work. Results happen quite fast because I kept at it, and you will, I guarantee, you'll get the same, if not similar results that I was getting, because what it also allows for us, so that's just kind of the VR part of things, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Our property to more people around the world in different that could the property. So rather than having to rely on people to come and do a lockbox or view the property physically, they may not have been the best quality tenant. And rather than give it to the best of the bad bunch, we're able to give it the best of everyone. So anyone who wanted to see it, we could then market to high-end income players. We could go to the relocation consultants that were actually being paid by people to come into the country to show them properties. We were showing it to the people before they got to the relocation agencies in the end. If people applied, they would inquire, "Hi, Michael, I'm actually relocating from America or Europe. I'll be back. I'll be there next month. Can I arrange a viewing?" Send them the link. They've viewed the property. They don't need to worry about looking at 10 properties when they get here. We can do the process. We can vet them over Skype or Zoom. Because at the end of the day, good tenants can go bad. So make sure you get landlord insurance if you can get that. But we were so efficient with what we did, and it's probably for another conversation, but we got our rent arrears to 0%. So not only were we able to get the best tenants in the marketplace, we had the best tenants that could afford to pay rent, not have any arrears, and it solved a massive problem for us too. Like, we were probably at about, I think, 3.5% arrears at sometimes because people, they were just lazy. And so by changing the type of tenant that we had also meant all the knock-on effects that we had. So better arrears, we had 0% vacancy because we're able to work creatively with our leases to make sure that they were longer leases. We had better type of tenants. We're also able to match the type of tenant to the property. So, for example, if we had an application that was for someone 50 years plus, as opposed to like an 18 to 25-year-old, we knew that an 18 to 25-year-old would be more transient and they wouldn't stay in the property for a long period of time, maybe 12 months. But someone that's older is typically settling down. They don't want to be moving around everywhere. So we could have better tenant selection too. So for us, it was a big
laws
change.
might be a little different in Australia than here, though.
Well, what we did inside the office, we didn't verbalize it to the people that applied.
Got it. Right. So
no one from Australia is watching this, yeah? No tenants that I had.
Right. No, this all makes a lot of sense. So, okay, so you have a 0% vacancy rate. You're renting out some of these places before they're even vacant. As soon, like, because you're marketing them from the second there's a notice, you're getting people out of state or out of country that are able to look at it. I think it's brilliant that you've got partnerships you've created in alignment with relocation agencies and relocation agents. I think that's sharp. So, I mean, all of this sounds, really fascinating. And this is something that anybody can do.
Anyone can do it. Even like staff members. So if you've got people that work for bosses, there's no reason why staff member to help automate your showing, so that you get a virtual tour or video or and someone contacts you at 10 o'clock at night and you're the type of person that picks up the phone at 10 o'clock and tries to make a time, you could send them the link. It'll pre-qualify them. They'll know that, and the good thing about like a VR, it shows you the room, the whole room. And so they can be looking at the whole kitchen. They can be looking at the whole bathroom. Because so many times you go online and you just see a photo corner of a bathroom, which shows the tiles, doesn't show you the toilet and the shower and the bath.
Yeah.
It eradicates all that. It's gone. And then, I think I showed you too, like when we got to the actual property, the other headache was, I'm not sure if my bed will fit or the fridge won't fit in the cavity. So then we included and incorporated AR, so the augmented reality, which was just another bow. And then, like with the AR, you can record the screen, so you can be at the property while it's vacant and actually do a video recording of this is where your couch goes, this is where the fridge goes, where the TV goes, and put the furniture down. And then you can send that video out to people too when they inquire about, will it fit a king size bed, or what size is the fridge cavity? Because people are visual mostly.
So how are you doing that? How are you putting in beds and virtual beds and things like this into a video?
So it was called, the app that I use, it's a free app. So a lot of this stuff isn't going to cost anyone here. Housecraft, as in HOUSECRAFT. Now that's free augmented reality application.
Housecraft. It sounds like witchcraft. It's like magic. So Housecraft. Okay.
It is magic. And again, I have all these tools because they're objection handlers. I don't need to overcomplicate things because then it just starts making problems. So these are free things that anyone can be using, and anyone can do anything that I've been doing. None of it's hard. It's just I have better use of my time.
Yeah. All right. So you're using Housecraft. You're using View Eat. You've got your Rico camera. Are there any other technological tools that help you automate the showing thing?
So basically how it would work for us was a tenant would give notice to vacate, or we would have a brand new property come on. We would either have the tour or take the tour. We would put that tour as a link on our description. And a lot of the feedback I had from people around the world was our property software, our showing software doesn't allow us to put a hyperlink in there. Just put it in the ad, like put it in the ad there too. We had every second photo for us was, did you know this property is in virtual reality? Make sure you click on the link in the description. So when people were looking on their smart device, because most people are looking at the property searches from their mobiles, it was important that we could grab their attention with a nice header photo, grab their attention saying, hey, we've got a virtual tour or a video. Make sure you look at it to pre-qualify rather than them coming to the property and saying it's not for them. So the virtual tour would go on there. If someone did call us and inquire, the question was, great, have you seen the virtual tour? If it was no, it's like, okay, fine, here's the virtual tour. And they all had to see it. So we would not go to a property unless the person had seen the virtual tour.
Right. So virtual tour first. And then if you've watched that and it's still a go, then we will show you the property.
Correct. So they would do that. When we went to the property, we knew that it was really just a case of they were checking if there's a smell or, just their general feel, their juju. And it was basically they were going to apply for the property. Typically, if they went to the property, there was a 93% chance they got the property, and it was like 96% that they would apply.
Wow.
Not everyone got the property.
Because the virtual tours had filtered out so much.
Pre-qualified.
Now on the photos, were you doing stuff like box brownie and like this kind of stuff, or were we just getting photos?
Yeah, so we changed it to make sure that like the header photo, the main photo they saw to start with had a blue sky, green grass. It was just a nice, attractive image so that people would click on that, like as clickbait basically. It'll look nice, they'd click on it, and then the next image was the virtual tour, that they knew that there was a virtual tour there. And then there were the other photos, but we would only put photos that were relevant, like where you could actually see the room. If you couldn't see the room or it was cut off, we wouldn't show it because the virtual tour was going to show the property in its entirety. So it just meant that, I would not put 20 photos up of a half-baked house when I could put 3 photos up, a virtual and a walkthrough video. Far greater impact. Our stats were we were leasing properties 4 times faster than our competitors, and we were getting more than double the amount of views on all of our properties, according to realestate.com.au, which is our massive property platform in Australia. So what we were doing was no major cost difference to competitors, but we were getting twice the amount of people looking at our property and 4 times faster it was being leased.
I just had a bee fly into my face. I don't even know how it got in here. I just whacked it. All right. So, so sorry, I was distracted by a bee. All right. So, so Michael, this sounds like really incredible. Like having all this stuff in place. It sounds like really low cost, and it sounds like it actually saves you a ton of time and a ton of money to get these things implemented. Now, what I'd love to do is connect this to how is this helping you grow your business? Obviously, it's reducing cost, it's reducing staff, but this sounds like a huge competitive advantage selling point to when you're pitching to new owners to say, we have a 0 vacancy rate. We're managing hundreds of properties, which is unheard of in our industry. And we can get this thing taken care of, like, and leased out really rapidly. I've got the cameras on me. I'm ready to go. Like, let's do this.
Correct. Yeah. And there's a lot of white noise and noise generally in property management. And when you're going to a listing presentation, everyone speaks about the same topics. We collect rent. We have low vacancy. We are fantastic. We have good systems. So you can basically walk into a presentation and know verbatim what people are going to be saying.
Yes.
If someone inquired about renting out their property, they would get an email from me with like our reviews, proof statements, things that we do differently. When I would go to the appraisal, I wouldn't actually bring anything other than a set of virtual reality goggles. So for me, I didn't go in with a booklet, and everyone kind of expects you to walk in with a booklet, a pamphlet, like all your competitors do.
Yeah.
But for me, it's straight away, let's work on that trust, that rapport with the owner. I would walk into the presentation, I'd put the virtual goggles down on the table, which are a gimmick, right? They're a gimmick. But I put them on the table, and then I'd say, Mr. and Mrs. Landlord, so tell me, what do you love about your property? What are the tenants going to love about the property? What would you do differently to the property that tenants may also think that they would want changed? I get them speaking about it. So none of it is about my fees. None of it is about my service. None of it is about anything else at the moment, just about them. And then it gets to the point where I can totally see why people would fall in love in this property. And it's so important that we show people what this property actually offers. Here are a couple of ways that we can do that. So bear in mind, by the time they've already got to us and called us, they've gone on and seen our Google reviews, they've seen our social profile, they've already assessed us when they make the phone call.
Sure.
So it's so important that you've got some social proof and just, some history there.
Yeah.
And if you're just starting out as an agent, get reviews, get some social proof, because, you really are fantastic. As people, we're fantastic, and there are some really great attributes. If you're starting fresh, you don't have to look fresh. Jason, you help them with websites. You can make someone who's just starting out look as a major player in the marketplace.
Absolutely. I tell potential clients, there's no reason why a company with 0 doors or even 5 doors has to look any different than a company with 1,000 doors. And they can have just as good of branding, just as good of a website, and we can help them with the reputation stuff. Like we have our service gatherkudos.com. So gatherkudos.com for those listening that you can check out, which helps you facilitate or lubricate, I guess, if you will, that process of getting more reviews from your clients.
So, there's no reason why you can't. And, I haven't got any clients yet to get reviews. I'm sure you've done business with people before that they can leave you, reviews. It's all you need to start the momentum. So by the time we're meeting with them, they know a little bit about us. I'm not concerned about any other services, because they all know that we collect rent and we find tenants and we manage maintenance and we do all that stuff.
Right.
But it's showing to the owners that we will love their property, and really focus on the things that they love also, and identify the weaknesses of the property too, because it's important for us at the start for the owners to acknowledge the property may have some shortcomings. Then we don't have to have an awkward conversation later. Oh, the prospective tenant said that they don't like the pink wall in the kitchen.
Yeah.
You know, so we get the owners to draw out what they think is negative at the start, and then it sets the tone. And so then I bring out the virtual goggles, and I say this is one way that people are really going to immerse themselves in your property from their own lounge room. We also had virtual goggles and an Oculus Rift in our office. So when people came in and they wanted to get a rental list, we stopped giving out paper, and we would say, what are you after? A 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and give them the goggles and show them a property. Because we had far greater success in them coming in, picking up some paper in the office, leaving, throwing it in the bin later on for one property that they might be interested in. So we cut down on paper too, Jason. That was a pretty good experience. We went paperless. But for new owners, they could see that we were focused on serving the customer rather than being burdened with admin and just a slow death in a real estate office. We could show them some of the other tours we've done. And, you know, we were doing drone work too, Jason, where we would be able to showcase the aerial view of the property in proximity to shops. And because that was another question that people would say, property looks great, but what's it near? You know, and like in Australia with Google Maps, sometimes it hadn't caught up. So the area would look like just massive farmland, but it was actually like a built up estate with shopping malls and, you know, freeways going through it. So I'll take aerial shots and show everyone what it was near. But owners, I think I was at 140 doors from 141 appraisals.
Wow.
So
you would show up for these, you know, initial contacts at the property or these appraisals or whatever you were doing, and you would pull out virtual reality goggles and like set your camera there and start describing like what you do.
Correct. Now, fast forward a few more years, I didn't even have to go to the property anymore because I had the virtual tours online and people could see them. It was part of my website, so people could see that too. And it got to the point where people would make an inquiry and I would send them a video message. And because they've already seen all the proof statements, and it'd be a video message to start the initial conversation. And I didn't have to meet all these owners. I tried to meet all the owners, but sometimes they were time poor, they were interstate, they were overseas, like whatever the reason. But I found other ways to get inside their living room without being in their living room. And, you know, so you got the virtual tours and then you got the video text messages. And a lot of people say, I'm too scared to do a video text message. What if I say the wrong thing? So it's easy. Don't send it. Just do it again.
Right. Re-record it.
Re-record it. And, you know, if you're doing a video, you can edit it. If it's not live, edit. If it's live, I say laugh. So what? Make a mistake. We're human. I would make the same mistake speaking with you as I would doing on a video.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, recapping on it, our process was every property had to have a virtual tour. When I had the staff, they weren't happy going out and taking a virtual tour because it would take them between 15 minutes to 30 minutes, maybe depending on how many rooms there were. It's a very fast process to take the photos. And then you just copy them onto the View It platform and you put the hyperlinks, the dots, the hotspots, and the tour is done. The tour might take you 45 minutes to do. For me, that's no problem at all. If it's a big one, if it's a small 1-bedroom place, it might take you 5 minutes to stitch it together. It just depends. And the more you do it, the faster you become. So every property had the virtual tour, had a video, had some updated photos. It just meant that as a tenant trying to select for the property, all their problems were answered. As an owner, when they were looking at other agents online who's going to rent out their property, they could see the methodical process of photo, virtual tour, application form. So it's a very simple process. We then got to back it up with proof statements like, you know, the rent arrears, zero vacancy, all those other things that were important. Because if you go out to an appraisal, and start just reeling off everything you do, you're the same as everyone else. But if you can show proof statements, then it's 90% there.
Love it. Yeah. I mean, you could easily send a video introducing yourself, and you could send them a link to a page of video testimonials from clients. And you can just like, you can give them all the social proof, and you can say, look at how we market the properties, send them the link to your rental listings. And here's an example. Here's a property like similar to yours, maybe. And suddenly they can imagine all of it. They can see it, and it becomes real to them. So now this becomes this huge competitive advantage and this huge differentiator between you and other property management companies. And then it's allowing you to close more deals. I would imagine it facilitates word of mouth, because people are going to talk about you. Oh, because they're probably impressed. I would be impressed if somebody showed up with goggles and camera and like showed me tours and sent me a video text message. I'd be like, these guys are on top of things, and they're tech savvy, and they're going to take care of me out of the gate.
And I guess one of the great things is too, and I won't mention exact pricing, but we were full fee. We weren't competing with, but that agent is offering a cheaper fee anymore.
Right. You weren't the discount guys. We're the best.
See the value.
Yeah.
So we were full fee. We're getting full leasing fee, full management fee. We're also getting extra. I mean, in Australia, we can't charge as many fees as you can in America. I wish we could. But we were full fee. So I was maximizing every potential fee that I could. So routine inspection fees, higher statement fees. We were full fees. We didn't have to compete with someone. I remember when I started, Jason, and I was trying to get traction, I sent out 1,000 flyers to people, and I offered a low management fee to people for 3 months. And I got one person out of the 1,000 that I sent out, and that was great because they were a multiple referring client. But starting out thinking that I had to charge something low so that I could get in front of more people was one of the biggest crazy thoughts that I had at the very start.
It's one of the most common beginner pitfalls is I need to be cheaper than everybody else to get started and to compete.
Yeah, but if I just realized back over 10 years ago that my value proposition had to change.
Yeah.
Not my fees. It was my value proposition.
Yeah.
So how do I not complicate it? And so now I no longer have any other office. I work from a home office. I've restructured because I don't want to have physical staff. I've got VAs that do all the menial tasks. All the properties that we have are on a virtual platform. I've got no properties for rent at the moment. No one in rent arrears. I travel. Last year I was abroad 7 months of the year. I was in Turkey for 2 months, Indonesia for 2 months, in and out of America and interstate. So I traveled a lot. This year, maybe 4 months of the year.
Wow.
If I get new business, I've got someone that can go and do the virtual tour for me. I've trained a simple person who doesn't want to do anything else if I'm not around. I enjoy going to the properties and checking them out.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a property nerd. I like checking them out, seeing how we can add value and connecting. I'm still connecting. And so the most important thing for me as an agency was to make sure that we had meaningful conversations, getting rid of all the clutter and all the noise. And so we were focused on the good, happy calls, the meaningful connections, and making sure we could add value to our customers and our clients. That was our end result, to be, have that meaningful connection. The rest is all falls into place. It's all systems.
Yeah. So, and you didn't go into it thinking, I just want to automate everything to the nines. Your core end goal was, we want to have meaningful connections. And then I want to have freedom, as I'm doing this, to just focus on that.
Yeah. Automating it just allowed us the opportunity to spend more time with people.
Love it.
So it wasn't to make it so easy that I could travel a lot. It just meant that I could get better connections. I mean, going overseas, I pick up properties from going overseas. So many Americans travel, so many Australians.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in Europe and picked up new managements just from meeting Aussies abroad. It gives me that flexibility. And also, you get to go and check out new systems. People do things differently. So go out and see how other people are doing things that make their businesses better, and how can you implement it in your business?
Yeah,
So
love it.
important.
So, yeah, I think I heard a quote the other day that was travel is the language of peace.
Yeah.
You know, and the amount of tolerance and learning and growth that happens just from being in different environments and different cultures. I mean, I remember taking a trip to Israel, and just it was so different than what I was used to in the US. You know, even the checkpoints where kids were holding machine guns, you know, it was just all so different, and it was just really eye-opening. So being in Mexico, very different. And so you've
Yeah.
been exposed to so many different cultures. You get to really kind of fill your soul with having this variety in life. And I think, I think that's part of why a lot of people are in property management. They love that unique variety. There's all these different unique challenges that come with it. There's all these unique opportunities to meet unique people. And you really got to focus on the even best and highest portions of that by being able to create that freedom.
Yeah, and don't be scared of doing these things. Don't be scared of making mistakes. Like, trial it. If it's not 360 for someone, if it's not video for someone, go out and trial things and see how they can give you that freedom, but also to be able to engage with people, family, friends. Imagine if you live in a suburb and you've got like a sports club, a church, a local pub, or like whatever. You've got all these meeting places, but you never get to go there because you're so busy trying to do the admin. So you're a local real estate agent and you're not even able to be local. Flip that upside down. Imagine if you're a local real estate agent doing local things because you've got all these other things that are automated and being done for you while you're networking and meeting and engaging with people in your area. Imagine for a second how different that looks.
Yeah, I love it. So I think Michael, everybody listening has probably by now hopefully felt a little bit inspired, right? That like there's this possibility that you've painted for them that is probably for a lot of property managers so outside their current worldview. And I think that's exciting, and I appreciate you coming on the show. So how can people get in touch with you, and how can they you know, what sort of takeaway would you want to leave them with?
Well, if anyone has any questions about anything we've spoken about today, just hit me up on Facebook and send me a message, and I'll respond that way. It's probably the easiest way, rather than give you a cell number or email. Just go through me on Facebook. We can connect there. I'm on Messenger, simplest way. And again, I guess like the constant message like that we've been discussing today is try it. Don't give up. Try new things that may automate your business and give you more time tomorrow, even though you're spending more time today, to get it done.
Perfect. This is an episode I will hope that people will listen to more than once. So, Michael, I appreciate you coming on the show.
You're
I think
welcome.
you give a lot of value, and I'm grateful to you. And thanks for being here and sharing so many ideas.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, cool. So that was really, really fun for me as a nerd to have Michael on. So message him through Facebook. And if you are a property management entrepreneur that wants to add doors and make a difference, as I said in the intro, then you should be part of our community. You would love it in there. Make sure you join the DoorGrow Club. You can get into that by going to doorgrowclub.com. Our Facebook group. There's really cool people in there like Michael, and there's just some phenomenal, helpful property managers, people that buy into this vision that good property management can change the world, that what the industry needs here, especially in the US, is collaboration over competition. And these are people that are willing to collaborate, willing to help, willing to support you. And so make sure you get inside the DoorGrow Club Facebook group and check it out. And if you join that group, if you apply and join that group, it's free, but you have to apply. We will give you some free gifts, including a fee Bible and some other really cool, takeaways and gifts over the next few days after we welcome you into the group, just to welcome you aboard, part of our Facebook group. So check that out at doorgrowclub.com. And until next time, everybody, to our mutual growth. Bye, everybody.